guys, welcome back from Tampa Bay at Eurocycles of Tampa Bay. Today I've got a review of the 2018 new R1200 GS. This is a tall bike. I'm excited to try this one. It's got a plethora of new features. Wow, yeah, it is tall. I can barely flat-foot it, but this has serious off-road capabilities. The roads are a little slick right now, so I'm keeping it in road mode as opposed to the more aggressive dynamic. Holy moly, is that a light clutch? That is awesome. I love it when they're just effortless. And this is truly effortless. I'm just barely making a fist. I feel like I'm really sitting in this bike, the way it's just wrapped around me. Very, very comfortable. I'm going to set the mirrors here real quick. This does have a full up and down quick shifter. Alright, mirrors look pretty good. They are solid as a rock. Very nice position. It is about 80% road, 20% elbow. No complaints there whatsoever. We've got a little tiny windscreen up front. It's got a manual adjustability. Let's see what position it's in. So there, it's in the down position, so not a whole lot of change physically. A lot of wind noise coming through here in the low. We'll go back up to the high. I don't notice too much of a change in the actual wind, but it does make a buffeting difference. Bars are nice and wide, absolute zero effort sit up and bag position. My back is completely straight, extremely comfortable seat. This has a ton of padding. It's just wide enough to cover my big butt. I'm 250 pounds, 6'2". Plenty of comfort out of this seat. Not a lot of vibration coming through. The 1200 Boxer engine is, I'm using the clutch here, I keep forgetting it has an auto blip downshift too. Absolute refined engine design for sure. The levers are in between what I would consider normal and a shorty. I put aftermarket levers on my FZ09 and these are the same width. So I'll use the quick shifter here. A little bit of a lurch, but that was very low RPM. They did recommend that we use it above 4,500 RPM. That's its sweet spot for use. Let me go down here. A little bit of a oomph there as it shifts down, but it's smooth enough. So we're at 5,500. You do want to be on the throttle when you're doing a quick shifter. I'm not going to do it right now because these cars are in front of me. It definitely gets noisy and buzzier in the upper RPM range. It's to be expected out of the motor. Every 1200 bike I've ridden does that. But it's not like you're winding this thing out like a sport bike. Roads are looking pretty dry here. Should have plenty of grip. Tires are definitely not warm yet. I'll take you guys through the nice little twisty routes. We'll see how it handles. Suspension is very comfy, and that's one of the cool new features for this bike. It has an auto-adjusting electronic suspension. It's not just an electronic suspension. It still has all the good preload and damping settings that you can use, but this has, and what it's in right now, automatic mode. So as soon as I got on the bike, started it up, it automatically set the preload to put you in the correct sag, and damping is automatically adjusted for your road conditions. So when it's nice and smooth out and sporty, I have a completely plush ride right now, but it's very controlled. Make sure Josh isn't right behind me here and we'll stab the front brake. Hardly any nosedive whatsoever. A little bit of a fork rise on acceleration, but I don't feel squat out of the back. Very nice ride. And of course it has many different modes. You can go into full enduro mode. It'll turn off the traction control, turn off the ABS, give you a very soft, high travel, compliant suspension ride. But if you're on the road like this, feels great. Let's go into top gear here. We're at 50 miles an hour, doing about 2,900 RPM. It feels like you're lugging it. it's got that thump, but that's just the way the engine runs. It's not a problem whatsoever. I got plenty of torque, and it gives a little bit of a growl. I don't know if you're going to hear it, because there is quite a bit of wind buffeting coming off the screen, even here at low speeds. So I can barely hear the exhaust, but I can hear the 1200 coming through a little bit. It's definitely nowhere near the sound that, say, the R9T makes. That is a glorious 1200 sound. This is definitely tamer. Try and get ahead of these cars here. Brakes are very right now. I was barely on it there. This is a one-finger brake control for sure. Alright, so let's give it a little power here. See how it winds out. Very smooth quick shifter. It still has that oomph kick because this engine has a lot of torque. Downshift at speed is absolutely seamless. I didn't feel a thing. Definitely has a kick, and especially comes through the front end because it is a long travel suspension, and it's on the softer side, especially under acceleration like that. So when you're kicking through the gears, you do feel it come through, but it's still very smooth. Yeah, it definitely even shakes the front end a little bit under full acceleration upshift. Not a big deal, but definitely something that other bikes I've tested with quick shifters doesn't do. Let's try the downshift again. Yeah, absolutely seamless. Love the downshift. That's a great feature. Feels very tall even riding it. I mean, I know it was when I got on it just from the feet position, but it feels like I'm way up in the air, especially at a lean. You're used to getting into a corner and getting down, you feel low to the ground. I do not feel low to the ground at all. I can imagine this would be extremely great off-road, or at least on fire roads. We don't have any right around here, at least where I live. The nearest trails or anything like that are a good hour away. So it's not something I have the ability to test. This also has a plethora of electronic features other than the suspension. You've got full cruise control. Got your multifunction wheel over here for controlling all the dash features. The dash itself is very easy to read. Very smooth in the corners. I love the large speedometer on the left. It's very automotive-like. It's a little busy. It has a lot of tick marks, both for miles per hour and kilometers per hour. And I have to say, at a glance, I'm sure I would get used to it, but at a glance, you have to look at it for maybe half a second to read what speed you're at. But, of course, if you have the bike, put some time on it, that's not an issue. You get to know exactly where the needle is. Tachometer on the top, it's on the small side. It's easy to read with the exception of between 5,000 and 7,000 RPM because that GPS mount, at least for my vision and height, is completely covering it. So I see the needle, but between 5 and 7, it disappears. The digital gauge down below, it's not a TFT, still the old style LCD. That's definitely something you're going to see going away very shortly in the industry. TFTs have started to come out as of the last couple of years, but this year they're going on a lot of mainstream bikes as the cost comes down, the technology matures. This one, I have to say, even for an LCD, not that great. I see the remnants of all the LCD bars and blocks in there that aren't illuminated. You can still see them. They look like shadows. Kind of like an old Casio digital watch, if you know what I mean. And it is the style where it's not pixels, it's defined blocks. So all the words, they don't look that great. It says ODO at the top there, but you know, it looks like they tried to make it out of the blocks to make numbers. It's that kind of display. Got a fuel gauge on the left, that's easy enough to read. You've got your gear indicator, what power mode you're in, and then you can cycle through. Speaking of cyclists, all your different modes and settings in the bottom right hand corner. Plenty of power. Nobody is going to want more out of this bike, at least riding single up on the road and certainly off-road. Even down to 4,000 there, using the quick shifter to go up into 6, extremely smooth. So yes, I would definitely agree with the dealer that you want to be up in the upper RPM range, at least halfway up, for best operation. No surprise there, that is very typical. I see some braided steel clutch and brake lines. That's pretty cool. I'm very impressed with the ride of this bike. It feels absolutely composed, very comfortable. It's handling little bumps without any issue. It's handling corners without any issue. And like I said, this is in complete auto mode. I love that. So there you go, guys. This has been the 2018 R1200 GS. See you next time.